Okay, so we are back with week 5 of the DC Rebirth pull list. Just to let you know, I promise I'll have something, hopefully soon, to review that isn't just DC Comics. I'll talk about it in a second here, but I'm kind of working through this pull list here, kind of figuring out what I want and what I don't want. So let's just jump into it, and I'll get more into that as we go. So the first thing we have is Justice League Rebirth. This is written by Brian Hitch. Is that who it is? Yeah. So yeah, this came out this week. I'm surprised this came out so much later than the rest of the Rebirths, just because it's a pretty important title. But I kind of am glad they did that because they started out with it being the first thing that came out for the New 52, and I don't know if that was the best choice. But yeah, so this came out. I was just gonna let you know, I traded this out for Green Lanterns. I still have Green Lanterns technically in my pull list. It's still sitting at the comic book store. I just couldn't afford to pick it up today. So I don't know. I haven't decided. I gotta get rid of something here if I want to keep reading, and if I want to add a Marvel book, I have to even remove one more from my pull list. So I'm still working through them. But I traded this out because I really wanted to see where this was going, and I'm not sure if this was worth trading for Green Lantern. I was actually pretty disappointed with this book. I think this is probably the weakest book I've read so far for Rebirth. It basically is just an alien invasion story where the Justice League, excluding the Green Lanterns and Superman, are fighting these things that are mind-controlling the people of New York, I think it is. And they're fighting them, and they're trying to figure out how to stop it. And we're getting flashes of Clark and Lois at home, deciding, should he help them? Is he really, part of the team now that the New 52 Superman is dead? And he's just they're having this debate, and it's flashing between that and the Justice League trying to figure out how to fight this alien thing. They basically get inside his brain where they try to communicate, and the Green Lantern show, and they help out with the fight and introduce themselves in a way. It seems as if Simon is kind of ignored, and Jessica everyone's really kind of rooting for. And Superman finally decides, maybe I should go help them. They have a flashback to before any of this happened, where Batman's talking about how he wants to keep this new Superman close, not only because he thinks that they need him, but because he wants to keep an eye on him, because he doesn't 100% trust him, of course. And everyone's still kind of mourning the loss of New 52 Superman, and they're not sure what to think of this new guy. So Superman appears and helps them figure out how to destroy this thing, and they basically, through I think mind control, they tell them to leave, and the alien leaves. And they talk about in a news report how they saved them again, yet from another monster attack. It was just a very bland story. I think the stuff that they talked about involving Superman has already kind of been discussed in all the Superman books, and I don't think they really needed to go much more into this. I think they could have just jumped into him being a part of the Justice League, and then, mentioning how he's new and they still don't 100% trust him, but they're working with him and he's working with them. Everyone seems kind of written funny, kind of out of character, especially Superman, with how positive he's been coming off in the other books. This one, he seems very like he doesn't care. The other thing I have to comment on is the art, which I think is the weakest art of all the books too so far. There's some cool shots in here. I mean, you got some cool shots of the League, especially in the last half of the book. There's probably 3 or 4 shots of just a team's pose, which are all right, but it just seems very sloppy. It seems as if they really were trying to rush this book out. It seems like they don't really have a set direction on where they want to go yet, and what they want to do with the Justice League book now. And that's really all I kind of got out of it. I'm gonna pick up the next issue, but man, that really was disappointing because I love Justice League, and this just really didn't do it for me. There was like literally nothing to it. Art was weak. Characters are kind of written out of character. So yeah, I would have to say this is probably the weakest book I've read on Rebirth so far. I will keep going with it for now, but we'll see where it's headed. Maybe this one was just kind of just like the rest of the Rebirths. None of them really had a lot to say, but this one especially seemed like it was struggling. So there's that. Next we have Superman #2. I love this cover, by the way, just him flying in the sky. I like to see some of these brighter covers, and especially I like to see Superman in shots without his heat vision charging in his eyes to make him look evil. I'm so happy they're not doing that as much now. That was driving me absolutely crazy. Basically, we're picking up where the first issue left off. Superman has picked up Jonathan, his son, and he is taking him out on a mission, basically discussing, just like in Justice League, how the Batman and Wonder Woman showed up because they are keeping tabs on Superman because they don't 100% trust him yet. And Jonathan has this guilt going on throughout the entire book because he fried his cat and he disobeyed orders of his parents, and he just feels very guilty throughout this book and very held back. But they basically it's just a small little mission where they're stopping a tanker or a submarine or something and in the Arctic. And he's bringing Jonathan along to watch him, do this. And he saves it, and they think it's all done. And something triggers this giant sea monster to come attack the ship. And it obviously has some kind of machinery on it that is making it be controlled by something else. It's not, and it's under its own willpower. So that's when Jonathan springs into action. He was purely told to just sit and watch, but now Superman needs his help. And it's a lot of Superman fighting this monster and Jonathan reacting to what's going on. And we finally get the first shot of him in his costume, his own costume, which is really neat. I'm excited for that book, by the way, with him and Damian. But I don't remember if I mentioned this the first issue. I think I did. But this is very much it reminds me of a Goku Gohan thing going on where I really like that, especially like say in like the Cell Saga when he's telling Gohan how to fight him and use his powers and stuff. It's very reminiscent of that, and I really think that's a good fit for a Superman and a Super Son kind of relationship. And he's telling Jonathan to basically use his heat vision to fry this thing that is controlling the big monster. And he doesn't really know how to control it, and he's essentially burning Superman as he's trying to, get his heat vision to work, and he's practicing, and Superman's like, I can handle it, just keep shooting it to see if you can get it. Finally, he's accurate enough, and he takes it out, and the sea monster goes away. He doesn't kill it, because he says, it's not under his control, he'll go away. And they have a little nice discussion right after the fight, how it was fun, and Superman's basically telling Jonathan that he needs to figure out, soon who he's going to be, because now that he is wearing the S, he needs to find out for himself what the S will stand for him, and how he needs to make his own person, and have his own. He needs to, have his own representation of what the Superman S means to him. And that's when Jonathan kind of confesses that he killed his mom's cat by accident in the first issue, and he basically just puts it all out in Front Street, and he just tells him, I did this, I disobeyed your orders, I used my powers when I shouldn't have, and I apologize. And Superman says, he kind of knew, because he said when the heat vision happens, it emits a type of odor, I think, that he can sense that's only through heat vision, and he knew something happened, but he wasn't quite sure. And Jonathan's really worried that his mom would be mad, and Clark will be mad at him, but Clark basically tells him, I think should be very proud that he is confessing to his being irresponsible, and how, he's really proud of him for that reason. And as they're flying home, we're getting hints of a new villain appearing. Kryptonian. They think he's Kryptonian through the computer, and it's still hinting. And then we get this nice little shot of them burying the cat, and you have his nice little collar and stuff on the cross and things, and basically saying that this is, that they're glad he's confessing and he's learning to deal with his own responsibilities. And Jonathan later runs into the little girl that he met in the first issue, the little blonde girl who lives in the farm next to theirs. And there's this kind of back and forth between them, and then Clark and Lois talking how Clark really wanted this to be a teachable moment for Jonathan, and how they're figuring out how they're going to teach him to be who he is, and how he has the best of both worlds to be taught. And Jonathan and this girl are sitting on a tree, and there's obviously some kind of romantic thing going on, and the tree branch breaks and he falls off of it, and Lois also receives a message in the mail that isn't quite, she hasn't read it yet, because as she's about to read it, which I think is going to appear later, as she's about to read it, Clark realizes something wrong has happened, and the little girl's dad appears, and with Jonathan in his arms, who has been knocked out from the fall. And Clark's very defensive of his son. The dad of the little girl is saying, we should take him to the hospital or a doctor and have him get checked on. And Clark's very protective of Jonathan. And we find out, Clark's already done a whole scan of his body. He knows it's just a concussion. And Lois is really questioning, he's getting all these powers. He's able to essentially kind of fly. He can use his heat vision. He's getting his powers. How is he still able to get scrapes on him? And how is he still, getting a concussion from falling out of a tree? So the book ends essentially with Clark saying that they need to go to the Fortress of Solitude to figure this out and see what's going on. And as he's saying that, it's flashing to the Fortress of Solitude, where the Eradicator is reborn, and he's here to cause trouble, I'm sure. Kind of a good hint of where this is going to be going now. The Eradicator will probably meet up with them in the fortress, where they're going to have to fight him and figure out some mysteries of Jonathan. I loved this book. This was much better than the first issue. There's a lot going in the right direction. I thought the art was much better. I thought it was very hit and miss in the first issue. This one seems to be consistent, even if some people don't prefer it. It's at least a consistent art, and it doesn't have as many people looking evil as in the first issue. The thing I've noticed about this book, and with Action Comics as well, is I think a lot of people are very happy with a lot of characters such as Aquaman and Batman and Wonder Woman, mainly Batman and Aquaman and Batman especially. The reason I think Batman's first and second issues have been so good is because Batman hasn't really had to change anything. He's very set in his universe. And I mean, there's been things going on with the Joker and things, but they're very much putting that on the back end. Superman has really had an identity crisis going on with what they want to do with the character and where he wants to go and how his personality is. And now that they've brought in a whole new Superman with a whole new personality, I think they're really trying to take it slow to really get a good impression of where they want to go in the future. A lot of people have said that they've been disappointed with the Superman books, but they've been excited, but they don't know what they're going to do with it. I think the reason these books are going much slower than, say, Batman is because they really are trying to establish what they want to do with it. And so this actually got me more excited, because the first issue I was kind of worried about, but this one is much better. I liked this one a lot. I'm excited to see where it goes. I like the Eradicator's new design, so that was a good book. Next up, we do have Batman #2, and this was probably the biggest hit amongst people I know who have read their New 52 so far. New 52, oh my god, the Rebirth so far, and I have to agree, this has been pretty consistent. I didn't care for the first issue as much as everyone else, but as I reread it, I started to see what they saw, and I'm starting to like it. and come around to it more. Still going on with the same creative team, obviously. So basically, this is just taken off with Gotham and Gotham Girl, who were introduced at the end of last issue, taking on Solomon Grundy with some really cool art and some cool fights going on in this. I like the art so far with this book. And Batman appears and takes him out in one hit. And he's telling Gotham and Gotham Girl that they are good, but he has literally he tells them, you had this. You're going to take out Grundy in this many seconds, but this guy was going to get trampled by Grundy in this many seconds, and you would have been off, and he would have died. So he literally says, you're really good at what you do, but I want you to do better. And he doesn't really know much about them. It's not like he can really stop them. They're very powerful. And Gotham is chasing him down, saying, I want to learn from you. I'm here to help protect the city. If you think that we can do better, show us how to do better. And he, of course, in his Batman way, doesn't say anything and leaves. Batman is kind of questioning who he is, questioning what he wants to do, because he is telling himself, I should have died. Saving this airplane. That's such a super heroic thing that I couldn't do. I should have at least died trying to save it, because I'm only human. If I die, Dick Grayson's going to take over as Batman, and he's going to die. And we have this whole line of people who are trying to save the city, but we really aren't capable, or as capable as, say, Superman or Green Lantern, or these new Gotham and Gotham Girl characters that have appeared. So he's really kind of questioning that this whole time. I really like a lot of the dialogue in this book. There's a lot of funny moments nestled within it. Alfred's really good in this book. I like the way King's been writing them. The next little scene I guess we get is in Commissioner Gordon's office, where we kind of are getting more introduced to him more. And a man walks in who says that he's the one who let Solomon Grundy out. He's the one who let him free, and he was basically manipulated by the Monster Men, he says, who are a group of people who we don't know who they are exactly yet. And it ends with him stabbing his jugular with looks like a letter opener, and right in front of Commissioner Gordon, right in front of his desk. And that was pretty dark, but I'm excited to see where that's going. And we have this wonderful shot that is very Batman-like, with Bruce dancing with some beautiful woman saying, I have to go, as he sees the bat signal. And she's very confused. That's so traditional Batman, and I really like seeing stuff like that. I think that's kind of the running theme of this book. Excuse me, is Scott Snyder did a really good job, but he did a lot of new stuff. He tried to bring in new aspects of the Batman mythos. This seems to be just a straight up, bring in some characters, but it seems to be a Batman story that is very traditional, that I really like to see. And he's basically talking to Alfred and Duke on his way to the Batcave, saying that he's taking Gotham and Gotham Girl with him to see Gordon. And they're asking him if he trusts them, and he says, well, I need them. I want to see what they can do. I don't know exactly yet, but we're going to see if we get... I just want to see what they can do. And this is also a wonderful scene on the rooftop with Commissioner Gordon, some cool art with Batman behind him as he's talking to the Gotham and Gotham Girl characters. And Gordon's very sarcastic, just like Alfred in this, because, Gotham and Gotham Girl seem very... optimistic, saying, we're here to protect the city, and Gordon's just like, oh yeah, you are? Awesome, yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you're here to help. And he tells Batman what happened in his office, and they hear about the Monster Men, and Batman says he doesn't know who they are, but they're still trying to figure it out. And then we have this awesome scene at the end with Batman doing his traditional disappear before anyone knows, and Gotham Girl say, we used our X-ray vision and we still couldn't find him. That's impossible. How that's never happened before. He calls it ultravision, and he said there's no way he could have just disappeared. And Gordon just ends with, "It's not impossible, kid. It's Batman," which is pretty cool. And the book basically ends with a mysterious voice talking to a man. I don't know if we're supposed to know who he is. I'm sure we might, but basically revealing Dr. Hugo Strange is working with Amanda Waller about what's been going on. So they're the puppet masters behind this whole plan. So we have a lot going on with this book. We have the Gotham and Gotham Girl characters who we have no idea who they are yet, and we now have been introduced to the Monster Men, and we have been introduced to Amanda Waller and Hugo Strange for this story arc. So I'm excited to see where this goes. This is, once again, still setting up the story. I bet by next issue we're going to start getting some juicy information going on here. So yeah, this book's great as always. I think this is probably the best Batman book. I really like Detective. A lot of people don't seem to like Detective. I think Detective's a lot of fun. But if you're looking for, a really interesting, fun Batman story, this is what you should be picking up. Next we have Aquaman, number 2. This book has just been fantastic. I have not read a lot of Aquaman, and this has just been so much fun to read. This is my favorite interpretation of Aquaman. I can't believe they're able to make the Aquaman that is very classic looking, that seems very wimpy, to be just the coolest, one of the coolest characters at DC right now. I'm really happy with it. This is picking up right where issue 1 left off, just like most of the issues this week, with Black Manta has blown up the embassy that Aquaman has created to bridge the gap between the land dwellers and Atlantis. And we get a little flashback of Aquaman killing Black Manta's dad, which is the whole reason Black Manta's fighting him in the first place. It's this revenge plot where he wants to just make his whole world crumble before him. And it's a lot of just fighting. It's a lot of him and Black Manta fighting, a lot of evacuation. The woman we're introduced to, who is part of the British Navy Guard, I think, she's in this helping evacuate, and she gets Mira out for Aquaman as he's fighting Black Manta. And there's this big philosophical discussion that is very Batman Joker-like, where Black Manta is basically saying, you can't kill me, because if you do, it's tarnished your name. You're going to be haunted with that for the rest of your life. As much as you can't stop fighting me, if you kill me, then you have changed who you are, and it'll haunt you for the rest of your life. So you can't kill me. We'll just be fighting and doing this forever. Very Joker Batman stuff going on, as there's these really cool action sequences throughout the entire book, which I really, really like. And so, you think, Black Manta might have the upper hand. He's right. But Aquaman can't stop fighting him because Black Manta will never stop fighting. So they're in this endless cycle. And it leads to Aquaman saying, well, fine, I guess I'll have to fight you to the death. And more cool action where Aquaman gets the upper hand on Black Manta, knocks off his helmet. And Aquaman basically explains, as much as you think that I can't kill you, you could never kill me. And he gives him Aquaman's trident and says, if you want to kill me. But here's the thing: if you kill me, you've been living your life all for vengeance. You've been living all for me. And after you've killed me, what then? And he even explains, how do you think you're going to kill me? You're going to do it slow? You're going to slit my throat? Are you going to stab me? Are you going to, shoot me? Are you going to end it easy? Is it going to be fast? Or is it going to be slow? And he says, no matter what you do, it'll never be satisfying. It'll never be a satisfying vengeance that you were looking for. And you're never going to be able to find what you're looking for, and you're going to be lost forever. And that's when Black Manta takes the trident and he gives up. Very easily gives up because he realizes that Aquaman's right. And that's what's really cool to see, is how Aquaman is such a good... he's really good at negotiation, he's really good at debates, and he's really good at talking through these things, and he's a very smart guy. And Aquaman also explains in this book that, killing Black Manta's dad, it was a terrible thing that haunts him, but he said, if not for that, I would never become Aquaman. The man who killed Black Manta's father wasn't Aquaman. He was a lost person trying to find who he is, and by killing his father, he knew exactly what consequence was. He knew what it meant to be a leader. He knew what it meant that just killing someone isn't going to solve the problem. And he talks about that too, which is very interesting, very philosophical. And it ends with, there's a couple endings here, with Mira and Aquaman discussing after everything's all said and done. Black Manta's been arrested. A couple people have died. There's still going to be a rift between the land dwellers in Atlantis now, especially after this, with everything blowing up and people dying. And you can also, during this book, there's a lot of Aquaman's men who are not happy to be saving humans. They don't like them, but they understand that if they don't, then they're going to be blamed for all of this, and they're going to be at war. So they reluctantly are here to, do what they got to do. And the book ends with Black Manta on a truck on his way to prison, and a mysterious woman who we may know who she is, but I haven't been reading Aquaman, so I don't know. She appears and releases him, and she is basically going to convince him to keep fighting Aquaman. So we'll find out who this woman is and what she is all about. But I love the way this book has started. It just started with a bang, introduced a bunch of characters, who Aquaman is. I mean, we've gotten a lot out of this book so far, and there's only been 3 issues, including Rebirth. And we've already, we got information on his relationships with who he's with, who he is, what he believes in, who Black Manta is, what he believes in. We got introduced to new characters. We got introduced to the idea of the land dwellers versus Atlantis thing going on and what they believe in. So we've gotten a lot of information in just 3 issues, and I'm really happy with that. This book has just been relentless, and I love that. I'm definitely sticking to this book. I think this and Wonder Woman have just been amazing. So there's that. And the last book this week is Green Arrow #2. Written by Ben Percy, who I met last week, who is an awesome guy, really nice. Discussed a lot of Rebirth, talking about some things that are really promising coming up, and he seems to really get Green Arrow. I really love this book. Basically, this has a big underlying theme of Dante's Inferno going on with it, with a lot of hell and heaven, and going through hell to see what to get to other areas. And basically what's going on is Oliver's half-sister, who is Shadow's daughter, and Shadow have betrayed Oliver Queen, and they have basically killed him. They shot him with 1,000,000 arrows, and that happened in the last issue. And it starts off with them dumping his body and framing him, where they put in the boat they add drugs and booze and blood splatter, so it looked like a murder-suicide, and they dumped his body in the water. Well, his sister's tracker, what is the sister's name again? I'm trying to remember exactly. I should know this. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Oh yeah, Emmy. She's her tracker is on Oliver, and I don't remember any of these names now because I don't know them very well because I haven't been reading the book. But Oliver basically has a guy who is his. He's been stalking Emmy, but Oliver realizes that even though he's kind of messed up at the time, he is very smart with computers. He knows what he's doing, so he's been helping Oliver. He's been in past stories and things, and he reappears in this issue, and he finds Oliver's body. While that's going on, we're introduced to Diggle, who I don't know. I thought he was already introduced in the books, but this comes off as if he was introduced in this. I'm not sure. He might have been. But I love Diggle and Arrow, and I hate how they've taken his character, so I'm glad he's in the comics now because they can actually write him well. And he's defending I think he's like a prime minister or a king or something, or drug lord, I don't remember. But he's protecting him, and this guy while he's protecting him, this guy touches the guy, and he burns into like he gets melted pretty much, and they put coins on his eyes, and Diggle realizes he's failed his mission to protect this guy. But it seems there's a rift between Diggle and Oliver. He gets a message, a decrypted text message that he doesn't know who it's from, saying that Oliver Queen is dead and they need his help. And he doesn't seem to really want to be a part of it. But we're getting flashes now of the news talking about Oliver's death, and Dinah basically doesn't believe it. She's going to go off into an investigate. And Cyrus Broderick, who is the one of the guys who works for Queen's business, he's the guy that's basically pulling the strings. We saw it at the end of the first issue. He's the one who's trying to, it looks like, frame Oliver into getting himself killed, and then making it taint his history and his legacy. So Dinah's going around searching for that, and finally Oliver wakes up. There's this interesting page of him talking about hell and heaven, and Dinah being in heaven, and how he needs to come back to the light and things like that. And he wakes up. I love the art in this book, by the way. It's very different compared to the other things. And he wakes up, and this woman and the guy have been taking care of him and making sure he's okay. So he's actually brought kind of back from the dead. He was on the verge of death, just like many characters get. And he's been recuperating for, it seems, about 2 weeks. They get him on his feet, and he kind of runs away. He needs to, he's Oliver Queen. He's going to go try to investigate where he is and what's going on. This very much has a Daredevil Born Again kind of feel to it, kind of resetting the character of Oliver Queen. As he goes out into this city, he tries to go back to his penthouse or his building that he lives in, and it's been ordered to be destroyed by Queen Industries, and his building blows up right in front of him. And this very much looks like a Daredevil Born Again shot when they blow up his apartment in that story. So he doesn't have, everyone thinks he's dead. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have anything, and he's on his way to figure out, why he's being framed and why all this is happening. And Dinah's found out about all these bodies being burned, and she's trying to investigate. And it leads to Queen going into his bunker, his secret bunker that he never uses in case it's an emergency. And Henry Fifth, he's the guy that picks him up and helps him. He's been in the books before. I don't know who he is. I haven't been reading a lot of Green Arrow, but he's a pretty good character, and I'm excited to see where he's going. But basically, Henry explains that he can't help Oliver because this is really dangerous stuff, and he's not used to it. He's just a stalker dude who knows a lot about computers and tracking and things like that. And he wants to get, Oliver's looking for information on Cyrus, and he's not getting any help. So he doesn't have any of his team with him. He doesn't have anyone willing to help him. He has no money. No one even knows he's alive. So it ends with him saying, only Green Arrow is going to be able to solve this case. This book is, at first it was really easy for me to know who all was around and who they all were. There's a couple characters they introduced in this. I had no idea who they were. I had to look them up and see what they did. But now that I kind of am caught up, I think I'll feel better. This one was very hard for me to understand at first, but now I'm really, now that I know all the information, I'm excited for the next stories, because I think all the characters that are going to be important to this arc are introduced now, and I know who they are. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. This book's been awesome. Definitely like the Born Again kind of feel to this book now, where they're kind of resetting Oliver Queen's character and where he's going to be going from here on out and what he's all about. So all these books were really good, except Justice League, which I'll keep my reservations for now, but that was not a very good issue. I am really not happy with that. But everything this week was good besides that. Superman was much better. Batman is good as always. Aquaman is good as always. Pick up Aquaman, guys. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm really happy with this week. I'm excited to see what comes out next week, and I will be back then and let you know what I think. So thanks for watching.